In the last part of this series, we looked at some of Minecraft's oldest maps from 2009 and early 2010. From a city nuked to the ground to possibly the most aesthetically pleasing map ever made, we've seen the true uniqueness of early Minecraft's builds and styles. And we continue again in this part, where this time we are going to late 2010 and 2011. But before we begin, I want to quickly showcase some of the discoveries since the last part. The first one is that the very mysterious map Glasshole 4 was found to be released on April 2nd, 2010 by Reaver_X. It was some weird attempt at vertical farming, and then was posted on a 4chan thread, which was later found by MC4F. So thank you so much for sharing and archiving it. The next one is that Moonrise 05 was a collaborative effort from FacePunch. It had two teams competing against each other on the same seed, with this one being called the Moonrise team. And the other team's world called Sunrise 05 has also been found. So credit to Osai for sharing this knowledge with me and giving me a lot more info on early Minecraft. Anyways, that all being said, let us begin with Alpha, since InfDev doesn't really have any worlds to show. The first map for Alpha is Fort Zero, made by Dark00 from July 14th to September 12th, 2010. This build is absolutely gigantic, with numerous levels, separate guard towers, and walls. And in two of these towers, there's actually a giant tree farm, which looks fantastic and really highlights the Alpha colors. But the coolest part is when you climb up the tower and it opens up to this park roof thing. It has numerous waterfalls and even has constantly spawning animals without any spawners, which was only possible in pre-release Minecraft. Reaching the top of the fort gives a really nice panorama, though it is kind of ruined by the clouds. Outside of the fort is a railway station and home, which gives really nice views of the surrounding areas. Overall, a really impressive build from the time, and based off the forum reactions, it seems like people agreed. The next map is called Eden, released on August 2nd, 2010 by Carnamir, and this map is absolutely incredible. Though before I begin, I do believe it was world edited, but also lived in. Either way, maybe one of the best maps I've seen in this era. This map just feels gigantic. It is surrounded by this giant dome, and in the middle are these large spheres and circles with grass in them. And at the bottom of the map, there's this very nice lush forest, which also looks great. There's so much more to this map, such as custom caves, so many more farms and enclosed spheres, and truly incredible angles. Overall, a breathtaking map that truly dwarfs the player in its scale. But before moving on, there's actually a beta version of this map, but it has 0 torches and just kind of feels dead and abandoned. And this really just turns the map into kind of feeling really empty and just honestly really creepy. I feel like I'm being watched as I walk through this, honestly. The next map is called Broville version 7 and was made on September 9th, 2010 by the Bro team. This map starts by either you going up the stairs to the surface or downstairs to the underground. Starting with the underground, it is a very nice and somewhat cozy place. I think underground villages are one of the most underrated types of builds in Minecraft, and this really shows it. Every house has a full interior and fits together nicely, so I honestly wonder if people were living in this back in 2010. Going up the stairs shows the rest of Broville, and it's really just a standard town. The best part of it, in my opinion, are these small in-jokes scattered around the map, from rappers being the owners of hotel rooms to a wall of local advertisements. This town really feels like a community came together and made it, something kind of rare in modern Minecraft. Interestingly, Broville is still around to this day, with new versions coming out every few years and even got highlighted by Mojang. Overall, a really cool map, though very simplistic compared to some of the other builds in this video. The next map is called Tower of Life, released 4 days later on September 14th, 2010 by Daughter's Name 69. I chose to look at this map because of its giant tree tower and spiral staircase to get to the top of it, but I actually was surprised to see just how detailed it goes below the surface, with a full-out cactus and wheat farm. There's actually really nothing else to show about it. It's just a really nice looking build from the time and took around 2 weeks to make. The next map is called Spookyville, and I have no idea when or who made it. And this map is actually an early example of a puzzle map, but there's kind of no puzzle. I just ran to the end, so I don't know if I am missing something or if that's just how you're supposed to play it. The only cool thing about it is that there was a section where you had to run from a bunch of skeletons, and there was also a really cool drop section. Outside of that, it was kind of unintentionally hilarious with a section about Spookyville's waste processing plant, which is kind of funny because why would they have a waste processing plant? And there was also signs telling me constantly to relax since I earned it. Overall, a really interesting attempt at making a puzzle map, but has not aged well. The last map I'm going to be showcasing for Alpha is Funfair, created on November 25th, 2010 by Nextremel, and it actually uses a custom texture pack. Funfair is a full-out amusement park with everything you can imagine, from a petting zoo to roller coasters to even astrology readings, which I don't really know why that's there. Anyways, I gotta say that Funfair is a complete blast. The best parts by far are the roller coaster, which is probably the most 2010 sounding thing I've ever heard, and the Geisterbahn, which in English I believe means something like horror coaster, and it actually is pretty awesome. First, it actually surprised me because because it is a little bit scary with just how dark it is and using paintings that mimic jump scares. But then it just goes insane, sending you to the underworld, which due to a texture glitch is all water, but still feels expansive and exhilarating. By the end of it, you actually kind of feel drained since it goes on for so long and it has so many twists and turns. Outside of the coasters, the other rides are kind of meh. The quote-unquote go-karts actually made me physically sick, and the water ride broke constantly since boats were way too finicky back then. But overall, it is a really good map, and back in 2010, it must have been something that was truly special. I honestly may make a video about it since it was that good, and there is so much to see and enjoy. So thank you so much, Funfair, and I will return one day. The first map for beta is called Skylands, made by Barf Vader, and was originally made on September 18, 2010 for alpha, but its last update was on March 11, 2011. This map is a survival and adventure map and is probably one of the weirdest I've played. It has tons of different islands with different environments and structures, with some very weird signs that I guess are intended to be passwords to unlock things. On top of that, there's some really weird areas like this giant floating lake with some floating islands on top, which just kind of looks like a 90s desktop render. There are also some dungeons that look genuinely cool and are very challenging. Overall, a really interesting map, and I believe it is one of the, if not the first Sky Challenge map made by the community, and it actually got some popularity in 2010 and 2011, so it may have inspired the Aether mod and even Skyblock. The next map is actually a server download called Chaotic Inc., made from alpha to June 28, 2011. And this map has pretty much all the hallmarks of an SMP from the time. A large complex railway system that connects to all the bases, a variety of different types of bases and homes, from castles to pyramids to just giant squares, and even signs listing all of the residents' bases. All of it really shows what a small survival community was like at the time. There's so much more to see in this map, from giant railway tunnels to small cactus farms that protect bases. So if you would like to explore it for yourself, join the Omni Archive Discord and at me for this map and whatever maps you want in this video or the previous video. The last map for beta in this video as a whole is the Manhattan Project, made by Canic 2010 on May 7th, 2011. Now you are probably wondering why I put this in here, and is that what I think it is? And the answers to both questions are yes. I can't really say the words around this since YouTube will destroy me, so I will just say the phrases that day, the multiple towers, and what happened. Anyways, this map is not to mock or joke about what happened that day. Instead, it is supposed to recreate what the multiple towers looked like before what happened. Now some may say that is in bad taste, but I want people to understand that this was made without trying to joke about it and was made less than a decade after what happened. There was still that very real connection to what happened then, and this was probably one of the first true game recreations of the multiple towers. So I really think that this was made by someone who genuinely loved the multiple towers, saw in person what happened that day, and just wanted to recreate them to the best of their ability with the limitations at the time. But for game-wise, I think what is most interesting about it is that since then, there's been numerous recreations of the multiple towers in Minecraft, some even going as far to recreate meter by meter. So honestly, it is kind of cool to see how the build styles and detail developed over the years with new blocks and building techniques. That all being said, given the context, it is a really interesting snapshot of both cultural and Minecraft history. Overall, all of these maps really show how the Minecraft community expanded and developed over 2010 and 2011. The last episode was more about trying to figure out what these very old maps mean and being wowed how they were able to accomplish such things. But this one feels a lot more connected, as we could see the thoughts and community aspects of these worlds, with their in-jokes, attempts at recreating real-life things, making challenges, and more. I think what needs to be stated too is that in the last episode, we looked at worlds that were either just survival bases or were people using mods to build whatever they want. This episode instead feels like the combination of both, since now the community exploded and there was kind of a competition to make the best and most impressive survival bases. Because of that, we have bases that both fit the progression of survival but are expansive in scale. And of course, as always, I think it is extremely important to preserve and archive all of these worlds. But before I end this video, I want to ask if you guys would want a part 3 and what you would want it to cover. I asked since at the start of 2011, Minecraft really exploded, so there's thousands of maps to visit, so it gets really harder to find really unique ones. I don't want this series to go past beta due to that kind of falling into modern Minecraft, and I don't really want this series just to be famous maps everyone knows. So let me know what you guys would want to see, maybe more semi-popular maps like Skylands, and maybe some other maps from Classic, in-dev, and Alpha. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel and like videos like this, like and subscribe, and if you already are, like and share. Have a good day, and goodbye.